Welcome back to episode 2 of our Mississippians podcast. I'm Mr. Green.
And I'm Mrs. Lilio.
So last time, we learned about the Mississippians' communities, farming, and their beliefs.
And today we'll explore how they traded across the continent, how they protected themselves, and what eventually happened to their civilization.
I can't wait. So let's start it off. Let's start with segment 1, all about trade. So, Mrs. Lelio, I've read a little bit about the Mississippians, and from what I understand, they had massive, and I'm talking massive, trading networks, even before we had roads and cars. So how far did they actually trade?
Very far. They traded shells from the Atlantic Ocean and Gulf of Mexico, copper from the Great Lakes, and mica from the Appalachian Mountains, and even obsidian from the Rocky Mountains.
Now that is incredible. They were connected across the entire continent. This isn't even just state by state. This is across the whole continent.
Exactly. They used the river systems and foot trails to carry goods from one group to another. It was like a huge web of trade routes connecting hundreds of communities.
Wow. And that trading wasn't just about goods. It also helped them spread their ideas and even their culture.
Absolutely. Trade helped different groups share traditions, tools, and art.
Wow, it really shows you just how widespread it was. So let's move into our second segment. And this is all about, pretty intense, warfare and defense. So what I'm thinking of is all of that trading is taking place. But I'm thinking there's probably some type of conflict that arises during this trading. So how did the Mississippians actually protect their villages?
They built strong wooden walls called palisades around their towns and often had watchtowers from archers. Many Mississippian men were trained for warfare.
Whoa. And from what I understand, they sometimes fought with raids, right?
Yes, a raid was when men from one village would attack another, often to steal the goods or show power. These attacks sometimes led to counter raids and long wars between groups.
So if I had to make an assumption, I'm going to say that life wasn't always so peaceful. But it does sound like they were very skilled at defending their homes.
Definitely, warfare was a big part of their culture, but it also made life unpredictable and sometimes dangerous.
If I could deal with that, seems pretty scary. So let's move into our final segment here. And this is about the decline and the legacy of the Mississippians. So eventually the Mississippians declined. Now, tell me a little bit about what do historians think happened?
Well, there's a few theories. Some believe there was a drought or even a little ice age that made it hard to grow crops. Others think that the constant warfare weakened their communities, and when Europeans arrived in the 1500s, they brought diseases that spread quickly and caused many deaths.
My goodness, that's heartbreaking. But I don't think their story ends there, right?
Not at all. The Mississippians are descendants that include the tribes we still know today: the Chickasaw, the Cherokee, the Choctaw, the Natchez, and the Seminoles. They carried forward many traditions, stories, and cultural practices.
Wow. Now, I remember learning a lot about those tribes too. So it's fascinating that, there's that connection between the Mississippians and these other tribes. So really, even though their civilization ended, their legacy seems like it continues through these tribes and through the mounds and artifacts that remain.
Yes, and these tribes, known as these Native American tribes.
Yes, exactly, exactly. So let's bring it all back home now and close our time together. And we've spent a lot of time exploring the entirety of the Mississippian story. We looked at how they lived and where they farmed and what they ate and how they traded and how they fought and how they adapted.
Yes, their story shows us that civilization, the rise and the fall, but ideas and traditions live on.
That's so true. So now it's your turn to think about what you've learned. On your guided notes sheet, answer this reflection question. If you lived in a Mississippian village, what would you want to trade with other villages and why? Write at least 4 to 5 sentences explaining your choice.
Thank you for joining us for this 2-part series.
And remember, history isn't just the past, it's all around us.
That's correct.